That's something that has, like a 99% approval rating. In terms of getting jobs in all of these green industries, there are a huge number of apprenticeship programs under the Biden-Harris administration.
Greg Gutfield will quickly destroy Jessica Thurlow's absurd accusations. Let's see it.
Just because you get a job and it's a green job, you might not like it as much, but it's still paying you and it's training you for the future.
How many new green jobs are there?
I have to get the exact number, but there's a press release about it, and there are a lot of, well, there are. And it's also, part of it is about, as Jesse already said,
charging stations?
It's not for the charging stations. I've taken the L on the charging station already. I just wanted to say, though, about the student loan forgiveness program, and I was skeptical of this at first. I said, you certainly can't go around erasing hundreds of thousands of dollars of student debt, but 62% of Americans think that at least some portion of student debt should be forgiven. And they've targeted 5 kinds of borrowers. And I think you guys would be hard-pressed to say these people haven't gotten it rough. And some of it is the interest rate problem. Certainly, private institutions are gouging kids. I love to see how many medical schools are now being fully funded, that billionaires are stepping in and just saying no one should come out of this with debt. But these borrowers, people who owe more now than when they borrowed, who've owed for over 20 plus years, people who have just $10,000 in debt and then they can have their life back, folks who enrolled in, quote, low value academic programs. So they used to have a financial aid program and now they don't. These are people who you could really make the argument are victims of the system versus what you would say it was, that it's kids who are out there earning $250,000. This is for low and middle income people.
Oh, Jessica, if you knew Biden destroyed education, he's doing it with precision and accuracy. And you're talking nonsense about entitlements.
Yeah, and for couples who make $250,000. Go ahead, Greg.
Well, first of all, AOC's district is a nightmare. I mean, Venezuelans walk in and they leave. Instead of helping her constituents, crime victims, seniors who no longer have pharmacies to go to because they closed, people who need jobs but can't find them because somehow Amazon never came here. I wonder why that happened. Instead, she decides to bail out, the non-binary, pink-haired gender studies major from Wellesley because,
Don't Seven Sisters bad.
I'm sorry. And just that travel abroad thing, I didn't realize that the whole point of a government and the whole point of paying my taxes is so that somebody can travel abroad. Do you think the truck driver making his auto payments is asking for a handout, so he can go backpacking through Europe, traipsing from one hostel to another until he passes out in the red light district of Amsterdam? Jesse?
I didn't pass out.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't travel abroad when I was young, and it wasn't until I was older, and that was for a medical procedure. This could be solved fairly, which you think the Democrats would embrace because it's all about fairness. So why not split the load, right, between schools, banks, and borrower? Because it's not really about fairness, it's about votes. They would prefer to bilk the taxpayers because the taxpayers are powerless.
That's really true. Biden doesn't need smart people in the country. It is easier for him to let in hundreds of thousands of migrants who will get citizenship and pay him all the taxes with respect.
Unlike the academia and unlike the banks who have actual power and can come after you. And finally, they're always conflating intentionality with functionality. So as long as it's compassion, it's good. But if you look in all the areas that Dems apply compassion, which is crime, immigration, women's sports, here with the loans, it's bad. It's bad because they never factor in how their compassion impugns other people, whether the loans, it's money being stolen from other people, whether it's female athletes, whether it's hardworking Americans who have to compete for jobs. All of this stuff is viewed through the lens of compassion. When they say these people need help paying their bills, that's no different than these migrants need a sanctuary or this trans woman needs to be her best self. They're all the same, but in this compassion, in this weird compassion filter, it ignores the cost that it impugns on everyone else. In this case, it's theft. You can't call it forgiveness. You can't call it loan cancellation. They're stealing money. And if you are a hardworking American, how you can support this guy who's taking money right out of your pocket, then you deserve him.
It's like I've always said about Democrats. They love power and money. The Biden family, for example. Our government is surrounded by Democrats, and you can see for yourself what the consequences are today. It's horrible.
I mean, there is a room to talk about the interest rate issue, and that would be great, but that's not what President Biden is talking about. He's going after the taxpayer to help pay for people who are in positions that they had a contract, and also they have been basically forgiven for years. And it's going to cost everybody else the money. We've talked about the fairness issue there for all the people that did it right. A couple of things here. You know, the main driver right now of the cost of college is tenured professor salaries. Nobody's going after them. At University of Pennsylvania right now, an annual cost of attendance is now well above the median household income for 1 year, regardless of the major. I mean, you could major in artificial intelligence and probably set yourself up for a really good career, or you could major in art history, and that's great. I love art history as well, but then you're going to complain about your student loan later on. It reminds me of his immigration policies. The student loan proposal that he's doing now solves none of the root causes and teaches everyone the wrong lessons. And what he's saying to the Supreme Court is that I will just defy you in order to get votes until November, and then if it doesn't work out, no problem.
Right.
There was the one statute that the Supreme Court said, this is a major issue, and under this statute, you cannot do this. Congress has to get involved. So they said, okay, well, we'll do it under another statute. I think the result from the Supreme Court would be the same. My last thought was something that I came up with today as I was walking, but it's been percolating for a while. I think President Trump would benefit from announcing his VP pick sooner than later. And I hadn't actually really been in that position before, but I think that there are so many issues that are going on right now with whack-a-mole, and him about to be in a courtroom every day starting Monday. If you think about having somebody out there who is a good communicator who can deal with all of these issues now, I mean, I think that we know who the two nominees are going to be. It's the longest general election in history. I think he would benefit from figuring out who that person would be, announcing it, and letting them get out in the country and do some of this batting practice.
Okay.
I can say with certainty for Jessica, this president race is the last one for Biden. His election will go poorly, and he will indeed lose. The people are not as stupid as you and will not buy into cheap tricks and false promises again. Soon all will pass, and a new era will dawn in our country. What do you think about it? Write your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to watch other shocking news on the channel.